Good morning, friends. It's Heather at Bush Poppy Farm. I hope you're doing well today. It's about to get real loud in here. I'm in the greenhouse, and the next storm front is pushing through as we speak. So hopefully it won't get too loud with the rain on the roof. This is week 5 in the agricultural calendar, and I have my week 5 box of seeds here. There's a lot of them. So I just wanted to go over with you the seeds that I'm going to be starting this week, including all of my tomato and pepper varieties. Okay, so I'm going to go over the Cut Flower Farm packets first. Some of them have photos, some of them don't. But so I have, for the Hudson Valley seeds, I have this wild bergamot that I'm starting. This one, I might just direct sow. Yeah, it says surface sow. So I think what I'm going to do is put this in the cottage garden, because I love this stuff. It is wonderful for pollinators. It spreads lovely. It also makes a lovely tea. And so I'm going to get this here at home. But I don't know that that's going to go out today as the rain picks up. Yesterday was our first big storm that went through. It's a pretty strong storm. We had really high winds, 40 to 50 mile an hour winds, and we got about 2 inches of rain. So from now, Thursday, through next Wednesday, we're going to continue to have rain on and off, and a couple more big storms are coming through. These are called atmospheric rivers over here, or you may have heard of them as the Pineapple Express. So coming up from Hawaii, tons of moisture, and it just gets dumped across California. The Sierras are getting like 3 to 5 feet of snow. So should be good skiing up there this coming weekend. All right, moving on to flowers. So for the flower farm this week, I am starting Ageratum. I have 2 varieties, Red Flint and the Timeless Mix. Also, Apple of Peru. I did this one last year. I'll see if I can find a photo that I took, but otherwise I'll put a photo here. This was the first time I grew it last year, and I only grew 1 plant. I had actually sown a whole bunch, but only 1 came up. But it got huge, enormous, and I got so many blooms off of it. And it was cool because you could harvest at the flower stage or at the green pod stage. Like, there was a lot of different harvest stages, and it looked really cool in bouquets. So I'm going to be starting a lot more of those. I actually just saw lightning. We're supposed to get lightning with this storm. So maybe we'll get some cool thunder. That's one thing I miss about living back east. I grew up in the East Coast, and I love thunderstorms, and you rarely ever get them in California. In fact, they're so rare that one time, many, many years ago, on Christmas Day, when the kids were really small, we weren't living in this house. We were living over on the peninsula across from the airport, across from SFO. And there was a thunderstorm that came through. And I remember my husband and I, we didn't realize there was a thunderstorm. We just thought it was a regular rainstorm. We were washing dishes, and we heard this noise. We both looked at each other, and we thought, was that an explosion at the airport? But it was just thunder. It had been so long. We both grew up on the East Coast, but it had been like literally years at that point since we'd been in a thunderstorm. Anyway, okay. So I hope you can hear me. I do have my microphone on. Hopefully it's not too loud with the rain. So Sweet Annie, I grow this every year. I only have to grow a handful of plants because they get enormous. They get about 7 feet tall, and I get tons and tons and tons of stems off of them. So I only really need like 2 or 3 of these, and they're good to go. Moving on to asters. I'm going to try it again this year. I have had 0 luck with asters. If they bloom at all, they take forever to get to that point. So we'll see. I'm following the directions, starting them on time, but I usually give things 2 or 3 seasons, and if I still fail at that point and they're not that important to me, I move them out and make space for something else. So I have Matsumoto apricot. I have Gusford Supreme. I mean, they look so awesome, so I'd really like for them to work. And then a Bonita mix, and that's it for asters. I really thinned it down. I had tons and tons of asters, and there's still a bunch in the seed catalog, but I'm only going to start these 3 varieties. So now the first succession of celosia. Chief Persimmon, This is a brain coral variety. Campus plume, which is so beautiful. And then I have two from Floret. This one's called Coral Reef. You can't see the color, but it's like a hot pink variety. And Fruit Punch. Speaking of Floret, on the 6th, I think, of February, so next week, they will be opening sales of their Floret Originals. And I am so super excited. She's been working on these original flowers for many, many years. And they are all open pollinated. She's encouraging people to save the seed so that they only have to buy once and they can save the seed and keep propagating their own. I just think it's amazing what she's doing. So I'm super excited to get hold of these seeds. And I will, the reason I'm not starting a whole lot of celosia right now is that I want the majority of the celosia I start this year and the zinnias to be Floret Originals because I love those. And I think they will replace all the other zinnias and celosia that I usually grow. Okay, Cosmos. These do not go in as row crops. I put these on the borders and in my vegetable garden and all that. I love Cosmos, but they're kind of a pain to harvest. They don't have a really long base life, so I'll do it for if somebody orders a special a special bouquet, and I'm gonna harvest that morning and deliver that afternoon. Then I'll harvest them when they're just about to open, so they get at least a few days. But I love Cosmos, but they just don't last that long. However, they are really pretty in the landscape. So I have Double Click Snow Puff. I have Seashells Mix and Daydream and Cupcakes Blush. Oh, and Apricota. Craspedia. This one's really cool. I've grown it for a couple of years. I actually want to grow a bigger patch this year. It's literally just a ball, a solid yellow ball. I'll try to put a picture up here for you. And they make really interesting additions to bouquets. They're the coolest little thing, and they're very easy to grow. So Craspedia. I have two types of cress, Atraxa and Emerald Beads. I haven't had a whole lot of luck growing cress for cuts, but we'll try it again this year. And then, of course, chocolate lace flower. I'm going to start one more succession of this, even though I already have it growing out at the farm. Moving into Dianthus, I have this is also called Sweet William. This is the double blend from Botanical Interests. And I also have two varieties from Johnny's, Chabot La France and Chabot Orange Sherbet. Now, Orangium. I haven't grown this in a few years. I do really like it, but I kind of have an aversion to pokey things, and Orangium is really pokey. This is, it's also known as sea holly. This is steel blue. This is a California native. I grow the blue one, and there's a white one called White Glitter. So I'm going to grow both of those again this year. Just a small little patch. Euphorbia, Snow on the Mountain. This is a wonderful greenery / filler for bouquets. That's also getting a small patch. And now moving into the marigolds. I really love growing marigolds, and I grow everything from the tiny little ones that you put in your vegetable garden to the really huge mop head marigolds that go into bouquets. So I have Cocoa Mix Bobtailed. I've got Lemon and Tangerine Gems. Those are just going to go everywhere. I'm going to start a lot of those. This one, Red Metamorph. So I use marigolds heavily, both in my vegetable garden as trap crops, but also deterrents, and at the flower garden, flower farm as well. These little ones are too short for harvesting for bouquets or anything like that, or arrangements, but they really do a great job of drawing in the beneficial insects and repelling the not so nice ones. And then I'm going to start, now I have other successions of marigolds I'm going to start that have different colors, but this is the first big one for the year. This is Orange Hawaii. I am going to start a little bit more lamb's ear, even though I have a lot in the home cottage garden. And then the Maximilian sunflower. I talked about this. It's a perennial sunflower. I talked about this when I did the Johnny's seed haul video. Okay, moving on to vegetables. So this is the week 5. that I start all of my tomatoes and peppers, and I'll start getting all the stuff ready for my seedling sale. So instead of just growing a whole bunch of seedlings and trying to sell them all, what I do is I start enough for my garden, and I put out to customers the ability to buy my vegetable garden in a box, my flower garden in a box, and then I have a curated sunflower collection box. And so what that is they get a box. Usually it's in April and May, depending on the weather. They get a box from me that has 15 seedlings. They don't get to choose. I put them in there because it depends on how well things do. But they'll get a whole vegetable garden. They'll get tomatoes and peppers and lettuce and squashes and herbs and things like that in this box, and then they can take it home and plant it. And it's been very successful. People have really enjoyed getting these. So I start a variety of things. Some of them I'm going to use, and some of them are for my customers. The great thing about doing pre-sales for this is I don't end up starting a ton of seedlings that are just going to sit here or I have to find a home for. Everything that I start has already been sold. First thing for my garden, bok choy. And I'll probably start some of these as well for the veggie garden in a box because they're easy to start and they're really good for you. Yummy. Along the same lines, tatsoi. All right, moving into peppers. So I still have 4 pepper plants here in the greenhouse. They're doing great. They're just hanging out. And when it's warmer, finally, probably not until like May, I will put them out in the garden. And they'll get a head start, and they'll probably bloom and produce peppers well in advance of all the seedlings I'm going to start now. But I'm still going to start a lot of seedlings. So the first one I'm starting is Craig's Grande Jalapeno. I love this one so much. I use it for making cowboy candy all the time. It's great. This is a new one for me this year, and I'm super excited. Cachuchas. Well, I'm actually going to start quite a few of these. I think that my customers would really enjoy them as well. So that's going to be a lot. I got a free one called Datil or Datil. It's 100 days, blazing hot. So I make sure that on the tags, people know whether they are hot or sweet peppers, so nobody's surprised. Sugar Rush Peach. This one's funny because it's supposedly not super hot, but I've heard from a lot of people that it is very hot. So I guess it's kind of just depends. Like shishito, right? You start shishitos and they're wonderful blistered in a pan, and most of the time they're like mellow neutral flavor, and then other times you get a really hot one. So maybe it's like that with the Sugar Rush Peach. Sweet chocolate pepper. I'm pretty sure that one of the plants, because of course I didn't have tags on them, one of the plants that's in here is a sweet chocolate. I have a black Hungarian. And I found another Craig's Jalapeno. Let me get that ordered. All right. Moving on to tomatoes I'm starting today. New one for me this year, brown sugar tomato. This is a Russian heirloom. Supposedly has a smoky flavor. I'm also starting, I've had these seeds for a couple years, Sunrise Bumblebee and Harvest Moon. This one's a new one for me this year. Some pole varieties. This one is classic cherry tomato called Sweetie. This one I really wanted to grow last year, but I got it too late in the season. This one is a bush tomato called Cream Sausage. Now that means it's determinate, so it's only going to get up to a certain size. Amish paste. I start these every year and I use them. The classic, in our area at least, pink Berkeley tie-dye. And let's see, another bush tomato called Ace 55. Then I'll be doing Celebrity Plus, which I grew last year, and Muskfish, which I've grown a number of years running now. So that's a lot of seeds to start today. I also have even more seeds to start, but they are direct sown ones. So a whole bunch of Nigella, a whole bunch of different varieties, and all of my poppies and the Bupleurum are all going to be going out at the farm hopefully next week. because what I need to do in order to do that is move compost to one more of those 4x6 beds. And with this weather, it's going to be really tough to be able to move compost. I can move it in the rain, but the pathway there is so slick, even, a couple days after the rain, that trying to do it while it's actively raining, I think is going to be a real challenge. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. So I'm going to get started on putting all these seeds together. Some of them will go in soil blocks. Some of them will go in 6-packs. And then that's probably going to be it for me for today. Before we go, let me show you the status of the seedlings we sowed last week, as well as some other stuff that's on the shelf over here. On the bottom shelf, we've got Bee Balm, Spielarten Mix, and Lemon Mint. These are germinating. This one's still a little bit slow, but I took it off the heat because most of them have germinated. We've got our snaps here, Costa Apricot and Potomac Berry Blend, and then this one's Early Sunrise Mix. Look how tiny they are. This is the Rudbeckia tray. I'm really shocked it germinated so quickly. And everything in here just got a fertilizer feed yesterday, fish emulsion and kelp. And then we've got our stock here. Okay, up here, look how big the sweet peas are getting. They're looking really good. They're very happy, very tall. Here we've got lettuce, which is wonderful because next week it gets transplanted out into the front garden. And over here, calendula, looking great. And then these, all of our veggies. I was going to try to put these onions out today before the rain came back, but I didn't make it in time. Celery's looking really good. Violas. And we've got, oh, those are primroses. That's nice. That's more celery. More celery. And look at these veggies back here. Getting nice and big. So what do we have here? We've got red Russian kale. We have collards, Swiss chard, peppermint stick. I can't even read that anymore. Oh, Brussels sprouts. And Golden Globe artichokes. And then we've got cabbage, red acre. Yeah, so it's all looking really good. I can't wait to get these transplanted. Then for flowers, we've got agrostema here. That's going to go out in a couple weeks. And then this one is xeranthemum and more straw flower and status. Finally, up top, we're actually getting really good germination on this eucalyptus. It takes a really long time usually for this stuff to germinate, and it's doing great. And then this one is, I think this is more cynoglossum. This is all cynoglossum back here, except for this one, which is, oh, verbena. It's so funny because my chart said I was supposed to transplant that this week. That's many, many weeks to go for transplanting. When I say my chart, I mean seed time. So I need to go in there and drag that bar and move it because it's going to be at least a month before those are ready for transplant. All right, I've got to make labels and choose trays and get everything filled, and I hope I have enough seed starting mix. That took about 3.5 hours, but it was enjoyable. Seed starting is always really fun. And I didn't finish because I ran out of soil. So I still have to do all the peppers. Those will come tomorrow. I'll have to go get a bag of soil tomorrow, mix up a new batch of seed starting mix for tomorrow. But I'll show you what I did get done. Okay, top shelf here. This is all flowers. These 2 trays are all flowers. And all of this is flowers. So that's a good amount for the farm. And the number of seeds that I start per variety or per type of flower is all based on the map that I put together for the year. So if I'm going to have 5 feet of something, then and they're going to be spaced 6 inches apart, then I'm going to have an X number of seeds I need to start. And I always start a few more, in case some seedlings don't make it or whatever. So that's how I determine what to start. And then these 2 trays are all tomatoes. And these are in 6-packs. So these, I won't have to bump any of these up. I take that back. The ones that will get bumped up will be the ones that go to my customers who buy the vegetable garden or the flower garden in a box. And they'll go in these cow pots. These are 4-inch pots that are completely biodegradable. They're made with cow manure. And so yeah, they'll get theirs in those. And that way they can plant them right into their garden. And it's also built-in fertilizer for them. So that's going to do it for me today. We have lots of rain coming up. In between the rain, like right now it's sunny, but we've had thunder and lightning, major downpour, and then the sun comes out. This is pretty funny. So in between there, I actually will be popping out to the front garden and trying to put in some of these, like the onions. Those can go in and I won't have to worry about the rains flattening them, but some of the more like leafy things, I'll have to wait till next week when we're not going to get intense rain. However, I could also rig up, put a cloche over them or something, so I might still do that. But I do want to start getting some of these out. Number one, I'm going to need the 6-packs. And two, they're looking super healthy and ready to go out. So yeah, it's time to start doing some transplanting. And I'm super excited. When I started all these tomatoes, I was like, oh, yeah, it's starting to feel like the season's starting, even though it's only February 1st. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today, you guys. I hope you have a wonderful time in your garden, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.